This audio is to instruct you about the Connect Learning System that we're going to be using for this course. The Connect Learning System is put together by the McGraw-Hill Publishing Company that does your textbook. And within the Connect Learning System, you will be doing LearnSmarts, quizzes, and you'll also have access to the diet analysis software that you'll use for your 3-day diet study. So what you're going to be doing, you should have registered for Connect. I sent you a pre-class instructional sheet on how to register for Connect. So you should be in there. If you have not registered, you will be able to, and I'll show you how you do that after you get your access into Moodle. So what we're going to go first is to look at how you access the quizzes and LearnSmarts in the Connect Learning System. So first of all, you just go into Moodle and log in, and then go to the lesson, whatever lesson. You'd start with lesson 1, and then you'll notice that there are LearnSmarts and there are quizzes. So I would recommend doing the LearnSmarts first because they're kind of an overview of the chapter. And there's flip cards, and I'll try to get an audio video type of thing that will instruct you on how what it's going to do for you. But anyway, so you're going to select the LearnSmart, and you're going to, here is the class URL that you're going to select. Once you select that, it's going to take you here. If you have already registered, then you just put the email that you used and the password you used when you registered and sign in. If you have not registered, and it doesn't show on this slide, but down at the bottom of this section, way down in here, it'll say register now. And so you would choose that, and then you would go in and register for the course, and it will take you to Connect. And here's what you're going to see in Connect, and it has all the lessons that we're going to be doing, and each of these LearnSmarts and quizzes are tied to a week, or basically a lesson within Moodle. So what you would do in the first week or first lesson is go here to take the quiz and LearnSmarts. Once you click on lesson 1, it will open up the LearnSmarts and quizzes, and then you would select or click on LearnSmart 1. I would again suggest doing LearnSmarts first, and then completing the LearnSmart, and then you can come right back and do the quiz if you want. You don't have to go back into Moodle and access the quiz and go through the whole thing. You can actually do the LearnSmart, keep connected, keep in Connect, and then go into the chapter and do these. The quizzes and LearnSmarts throughout the whole course you can do as fast as you want to, but they do have specific due dates. You'll notice there's a due date when they're available. They will all be available. All of the LearnSmarts and quizzes for the whole term will be available the first day of class. And then there will be due dates. You cannot do LearnSmarts after the due date. When the due date, which is basically going to be midnight, the due date will be stopped at midnight, it will basically be gone. You will not have access to LearnSmarts. So you have to get them done by the due date. There is no late LearnSmarts. The quizzes you can do late, but you will lose 10% per day. So it would be to your benefit to get these done early. I would highly suggest that you do them and try to do them at least 24 hours before the due date, because if something goes wrong with your computer or you have an issue, then you will have time to get it done for the next day. LearnSmarts, as you're going through the LearnSmarts, you can take a break. You can pause and come back to them. Quizzes are timed, so you will not be able to pause them and then come back. Once you start the quiz, you have a certain amount of time. I usually give 1 minute per question. So if it's a 30-question quiz, you will have 30 minutes to complete it. You cannot pause it and come back later. Once you start it, you have to finish it. You will have 2 chances for every quiz. Learn Smarts, you only get one chance. Basically, if you finish the Learn Smart, you get all the points. On the quizzes, you get two chances, so you can actually take the quiz and then go back in and look at it. Just go into your grade book and look at it and look at what you got wrong. The idea would you go in your book, see if you can figure out what the right answer is, and then you would go back in and take it a second time, and you only have to answer the questions you get wrong. You would still have the 30 minutes, but if you only miss 4 questions, you'd have 30 minutes to answer those 4 questions. You do not have to re-answer the questions you got correct. So Learn Smart's 1 chance, quizzes 2 chances. Your highest grade for the quizzes is going to be recorded. Now, these won't automatically go into your gradebook in Moodle. We weren't able to set it up so it's automatic. So what I'm going to have to do is go manually, after the due dates are finished, I will go back as soon as I can and manually put them into the gradebook of Moodle. But you will always have access. You can always go back into your performance and you can see how you did, so you can keep track of where you're at with those. Okay? The next thing that you'll be able to access within the Connect is the diet analysis software. So what you're going to be doing is a 3-day diet evaluation. You're going to keep track of 3 continuous days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever you want. I really don't care what 3 days you choose. Some people choose 3 days during the week because they say, well, that's when I have time to go home and cook, and when everything's pretty routine, whereas the weekends is so hectic, I don't know what I wouldn't be able to keep track. Some people like to do the weekends because they say, well, that's when I'm in control, or basically this is going to be for you. So you choose the 3 days that you want a baseline for how you normally eat. If you eat more normal on the weekends, then choose that. If you eat more normal during the week, then choose those days. It doesn't matter. You just choose whatever days you want that you want to know. Some people choose the weekends because they want to know how bad they're eating, because that's when they eat pizza and drink beer and eat hamburgers and French fries or whatever, and they just want to know, and that's okay because this is for you. So you just choose whatever days you want. And basically, I would suggest getting a notebook or something that you can write down everything. You want to write down everything you eat or drink, and then try to guesstimate as best you can the serving size. On page 62 of your text, there's a little chart that kind of gives you an idea of how to guesstimate, how much meat would be a serving would be, because we don't expect you to weigh them or anything, and how much beverages, but just kind of keep track. And then we're going to take this information and we're going to put it into the diet analysis program. Now, how you access the diet analysis program, again, it's going to be within Connect. On the right-hand column, you'll see this diet analysis tool. So you're going to click on this and you're going to launch the diet analysis tool, and where it will take you is here. And the first thing you're going to do is put in your profile. So you want to click on profile, you're going to click on new, and then you're going to create a new profile. So click on this icon, profile, and then go in and check new. And then what it's going to do is give you this that you're going to fill in. That basically is going to be a baseline who you say you are. So, the basic, what this is going to be used for is to set up some dietary goals based on who you said you were. Then there are going to be some goals set, and then what's going to be done with that is you're going to compare the goals to what you actually ate, and then from there, later on, we'll talk about how you're going to do a written analysis of your intake, and that intake then is going to be compared to these goals that are set up by your profile. So your profile needs to be as close to accurate as possible. And the one thing that a lot of students will overestimate is activity level. So you may want to go into profile info and it will give you some information about how active. So most people overestimate their activity level, so you need to figure out what do they mean by low active, because it can make a difference in calories and some nutrients, but mostly in calories. But so click on profile info. If you go into help, there's also some tutorials about how to use NutriCalc Plus if you just are totally confused. So there will be some tutorials there that you can use. Um, and um, then you're going to make sure you save your profile. The next thing you're going to do is put in your food intake that you saved for those 3 days. So you basically are going to choose a day. So choose the first day of your 3 days. Put in your, going to type in a food description as best you can. Now, food descriptions can get a little hard because a lot of you eat pretty weird. So if you eat some strange foods, because this software basically has typical foods that most Americans would eat. I mean, it does have ethnic foods, but it'd be pretty typical to what we can get anywhere. There are fast foods in there, and so if you eat at Burger King or McDonald's or Taco Bell, there are choices there that you could put in, and it will give you a Big Mac or a Whopper or whatever. So there are those. And so if you eat at a fast food place that is pretty nationwide, then it will have it in there. If you eat at a restaurant downtown, it probably won't. You just have to guesstimate and kind of write down what you ate there. But anyway, you're going to put your food intake in there, and then it's going to give you an option of many different types of foods that are close to what you said your description was, and you're going to choose from there. Once you get done reporting your intake day and you will save it, and then go and choose a new intake day, and I'll show you how to do that. So this, you're going to choose intakes and then choose an intake day. And the next step would be that we're going to put in some food. So what I did is just chose to put in whole wheat bread. Now, when you put in your description of your food intake, you want to be very, very specific, because if I had just put in bread, it's going to give me anything that has bread in it, bread pudding and who knows, cinnamon bread or whatever. It could maybe get 100 or 200 possibilities. So be as specific as possible. Whole wheat bread or white bread or sourdough or something, rye, and then I'll give you options. So I put whole wheat bread in here, and so here's the options it gave me: anything that has whole wheat in it, that kind of a thing. And I just arbitrarily chose I'm going to choose a slice of whole wheat. Make sure that you choose a slice because sometimes it'll just give you whole wheat and it'll be the whole loaf, and so make sure the wording is correct. So you just click on this green button and it will automatically plug it in there. And so here's what it did. It put in the item. Now you're going to have to choose whether that is a breakfast item or a lunch or a dinner or a snack. How many did you eat? And then each would indicate that it's a slice. They will give you options for ounces, for cups, for grams, or whatever. And so if you know the grams of the slice of bread, you could choose that. But normally you just choose each and it'll be close enough. And then the next step would then be to put in the next food and get the next food item and just continue on until you basically get a list of foods. Now this, I chose all breakfast. That wasn't very smart. It doesn't really matter in the long run for our report, but I'm sure I didn't have black beans. I may have, but I should have picked lunch or something like that here. But anyway, it's going to give you a list of foods. And so what you need to do is check and recheck before you save the intake, because down at the bottom it's going to have a save intake button. And so just make sure that everything is correct. You've got the meal correct, the amount correct, with the serving size that's correct, and then the name of the item. The next thing you would do is choose a new intake day, and then do the same thing. Put in your food, so you'll start all over again and create a new list here for this intake day, save it, and then go to the next intake day. All right. So I'm going to delete this. Then the next step you would do is click on reports, and you're going to choose all day reports and check all 3 days, update and do that. So you're going to choose reports here, and it'll take you to these options that you can choose from. What you want to choose is down here where it says all data reports. Make sure you click all 3 days, and then click the update preview, so it'll update the information. Then you want to save the report somewhere. Now, a PDF probably is the best. I mean, you can save it as an HTML, but it gives you 3 options. But a PDF, basically, anybody can open. So I might recommend choosing the format of a PDF. And then save the report to somewhere where you can find it. And I would also recommend printing a sheet, because you're going to need that information to do your written diet study. So I would either print it now or save it and then print it later when you need it. But save the report and to somewhere on your desktop or somewhere where you can find it. Then, so basically all you're going to need is one all data report page. And then we're going to upload that into the email. Please do not attach it to an email and send it to me. We're going to upload it into Moodle. And where you're going to upload it is in lesson 3. Okay? So you go to lesson 3 and it should say diet analysis data submission upload. So you're going to click on that. So again, this will not be due until week 3, basically. And then you're going to add a submission. You're going to go here, click add, and then choose the file. Would basically take you to where you need to go. And you would then select that, that file, just double click on it, and it will attach it here. Make sure your name's here, and then click upload this file.